8 seconds. That's all it took to expose everything. September 17th, 2025. FBI Director Kash Patel sits in front of the House Judiciary Committee with cameras rolling and microphones open. Someone passes him a piece of paper. He picks it up and starts reading. Something changes in his expression, subtle but visible. Then his hand moves to his right earlobe in a deliberate touch. He looks straight ahead at the camera position and pauses. Then he does it again. Same spot, same deliberate movement. Multiple former intelligence operatives who reviewed this footage told various outlets something specific. That particular gesture matches field communication patterns used in covert operations for decades. But here's what nobody's talking about. This didn't happen during a random moment. This happened exactly 67 seconds after a Republican congressman destroyed his credibility with one question about victim testimonies. And exactly 23 seconds before he would sit in complete silence when asked if Donald Trump's name appears in the Epstein files. The real story is what he was reading when his expression changed, because 5 minutes before this moment, Kash Patel gave testimony under oath. 5 minutes after, he gave completely different testimony, also under oath. Both statements about the same evidence. Both can't be true. And when you line up what he said in 2023 with what he testified in September 2025, a very specific pattern emerges. The man who spent years demanding transparency about these files is now the same man systematically burying every document that could answer the questions he once said were essential. Multiple former intelligence operatives who reviewed this footage told various outlets something specific. That particular gesture matches field communication patterns used in covert operations for decades. But here's what nobody's talking about. This didn't happen during a random moment. This happened exactly 67 seconds after a Republican congressman destroyed his credibility with one question about victim testimonies. And exactly 23 seconds before he would sit in complete silence when asked if Donald Trump's name appears in the Epstein files. The real story is what he was reading when his expression changed. Because 5 minutes before this moment, Kash Patel gave testimony under oath. 5 minutes after, he gave completely different testimony, also under oath. Both statements about the same evidence. Both can't be true. And when you line up what he said in 2023 with what he testified in September 2025, a very specific pattern emerges. The man who spent years demanding transparency about these files is now the same man systematically burying every document that could answer the questions he once said were essential. Start with what's on the record. December 2023, Benny Johnson's podcast. Johnson asks Patel directly, why hasn't the Epstein list been released? Patel's response, simple, because of who's on that list. Same month, Blaze media appearance. Put on your big boy pants and let us know who the pedophiles are. Another appearance, Patel states the FBI director has direct control of Epstein's black book. So the 2023 position was completely unambiguous. The files exist. They contain damaging information, and the FBI director controls them directly. February 2025, Trump administration begins. Kash Patel becomes FBI director. Now he has that direct control. February 27th, Attorney General Pam Bondi announces a whistleblower has come forward with additional Epstein documents. Then July 7th, DOJ releases a memorandum. No incriminating client list exists. Senator Durbin's letter flags the problem. That memo contradicts Bondi's February statement. The whistleblower documents she mentioned, no explanation of where they went. Also, the memo is unsigned. So when Patel testified in September, lawmakers came prepared. September 16th, Senate hearing. Democrats played those 2023 clips. Representative Raskin asked, how did you go from crusader for transparency to part of the cover-up? Patel talked about Alexander Acosta and the 2008 plea deal, but when pressed about where the transparency is now, he shifted to legal restrictions and previous administration's failures. Then his answers started contradicting each other. Question: is there credible information Epstein trafficked minors to others? Patel's answer, reported by Time: there is no credible information, none. If there were, I would bring the case yesterday. Later that same hearing, question about $1.5 billion in suspicious transactions flagged by major banks. Patel: he couldn't confirm whether FBI examined all of them. He just said he'd act immediately on any credible information, but can't confirm if he's examined the transactions that might contain exactly that. Next day gets worse. September 17th, House Judiciary Committee. Representative Ted Lieu asks, does Donald Trump's name appear in the Jeffrey Epstein files? Patel won't say. Lieu follows up about whether Trump's name was brought to the Attorney General's attention. Won't answer. Lieu's response, captured by CNN, America. That's a huge red flag. Then Representative Swalwell asks, have you personally reviewed all the Epstein files? Patel admits no, he hasn't. Watch this contrast. 2023 Patel said the FBI director has direct control and should release everything. 2025 Patel is FBI director and admits he hasn't reviewed everything. But in that same session, Patel gives definitive answers about certain things. Lieu: are there photos of Trump with girls of uncertain age? Patel: no. He knows definitively there are no compromising photos, though he hasn't reviewed all files, but won't say if Trump's name appears at all. CNN noted the pattern: definitive when exculpatory, evasive when potentially problematic. And that's when cameras captured those 8 seconds. Body language expert Judy James called it self-soothing under stress, but other analysts with intelligence backgrounds noted the specificity bottom earlobe pull twice with direct camera stare between movements. As viral posts noted, picked up in news coverage, the bottom ear pull has been used within agencies and special units for many years. But here's what makes this discussion relevant. September 21st, 4 days after that hearing, Kash Patel posts about the Charlie Kirk assassination investigation. The post specifically states FBI is investigating hand gestures observed as potential signals near Charlie at the time of his assassination. The FBI director officially announced the Bureau investigates hand gestures as potentially meaningful communication, not dismissing it as conspiracy thinking, officially investigating gestures as possible signals. So when that same director is captured making specific gestures during contradictory testimony and observers analyze them, some called it ridiculous, but Patel himself set this standard. Hand gestures warrant investigation, apparently just not his own during contradictory sworn testimony. Now here's what happened 67 seconds before that gesture. Representative Thomas Massie, a Republican, began questioning. He entered 4 documents. Acosta stating he was told Epstein belonged to intelligence and to leave it alone. Epstein's bodyguard warning about CIA connections, Epstein's calendar showing CIA director meetings, Wall Street Journal on Ehud Barak's 36 meetings with Epstein. Then Massie made a specific statement. According to victims who cooperated with FBI, documents in your possession detail at least 20 men Epstein trafficked victims to. He named categories: 1 Barclays, CEO, 1 royal prince, 1 Hollywood producer, 1 rock star, 1 magician, 6 billionaires. Then Massie asked, Director Patel, have you personally reviewed those FD 302 documents where victims name the people who victimized them? Patel's answer, I personally have not reviewed all of them. The FBI director testified to Senate there's no credible information, then admitted he never read the victim testimonies containing that information. He made definitive statements under oath about evidence he never examined. Massie. How can you say there are no names when you haven't reviewed the documents with the names? Patel tried to recover, but made a Freudian slip. We are not in the habit of releasing not credible information. He started to say incredible before correcting. Massey pressed, were you present when the Attorney General released Epstein binders to social media influencers at the White House? Patel, I was, yes. Massey, so you'll meet with TikTok influencers but not the actual victims? Patel wouldn't commit to personally meeting survivors. Then Representative Dan Goldman revealed his investigation. His team tracked every Epstein document scheduled for release since January 2025. Result, 47 documents approved for release. Only 11 actually released. The other 36 were delayed, reclassified, or removed. Goldman focused on document 23. Approved September 5th, passed all reviews, scheduled for release September 19th. Never released. The night before release, it was reclassified to requires additional review. Goldman asked, who ordered that reclassification? Silence. Was it you, Director? Long pause. Patel, I'm sorry, could you say that again? Goldman, did you personally order the reclassification of document 23? Patel, I just didn't hear you. Obvious deflection. Goldman didn't let it stand. Does Donald Trump's name appear anywhere in the Epstein files? Patel, I'm not going to discuss specific names in ongoing investigative materials. Goldman, ongoing, Epstein is dead. Maxwell is in prison. What investigation is ongoing? No answer. Goldman then cited already public information. Flight logs confirming Trump traveled on Epstein's jet multiple times. Internal DOJ email from 2020 stating flight records show Trump traveled many more times than previously reported. Witness testimony mentioning Trump by name. Goldman, all of this is already public. I'm asking you to acknowledge what Americans can already read. Then, document 23, reclassified the night before release, mentions Trump's name 17 times. Did you personally order it reclassified to prevent Americans from reading testimony mentioning Trump 17 times? Patel's lawyer stood. We need a recess. Goldman, sit down. Your client can answer. Patel sat in silence. Line up what's documented, questions potentially helpful to Trump, answered definitively. Photos with minors, no. Trump an informant, no. Questions potentially problematic. Everything becomes restricted. Trump's name in files, won't say. How many times? Don't know. Reviewed all materials? No. Why can't you release more? Legal restrictions, but can't specify which. So let's return to those 8 seconds. Patel reading a document, expression changing, 2 deliberate touches to his earlobe. We'll never know what was on that paper. We can't confirm if the gesture was stress or communication. But here's what's documented. That moment happened during testimony where his answers contradicted his 2023 statements. After claiming direct control, then admitting he hasn't reviewed all files, during questioning where he gave definitive answers about some information while refusing basic yes or no questions about other information, in context of an unsigned memo contradicting his attorney general's statements, while subpoenas for evidence were being blocked. 4 days before, he'd announce FBI investigates hand gestures as signals, a standard apparently not applying to his own gestures during contradictory testimony. The gesture might be meaningless, but the contradictions during that moment documented in the transcript, line by line. 2023 Patel, put on your big boy pants and let us know who the pedophiles are. 2025 Patel under oath, I can't answer that question. That gap is everything